Rugby pod.
Hello and welcome back to the Rugby Pod, where the URC Race for 8 has been decided. We know what the quarterfinals are. It was a big weekend in the URC, wasn't it?
It was, in the Premiership as well. This is a rugby hygiene episode. There's so much to talk about. There's good,
hygiene?
There's bad. There's a lot of detail to get through. There's a lot of permutations, a lot of perms, and a lot of detail, a lot of news as well this week. But anyway, we've got the quarterfinal fixtures all ready to go. It's all coming down the wire in the Prem. You mentioned the URC, Andrew, as well. But there's a small matter to get through as well. There's a big game at the weekend, isn't there? We'll get on to the live show in Northampton because it's not about us. It's about the Champions Cup final at the weekend. So you know the drill, everyone. It's going to be a hell of an episode, hell of a ride. Busiest end of the season.
Yeah, it certainly is. So settle back, enjoy, and make sure you've subscribed on Spotify. Good weekend, James. Back on the tools again. He's back. 2 weeks on the spin. He's managed to get up on stage and deliver the best of Jim Hamilton. How was it in Stratford?
Yeah, it was actually, I've done 3 shows, 3 events since the Bridge North moment. And we've got one on Thursday. It was good. Stratford was good. Salt of the earth. Made a big effort to get there as well and delivered. It was great, Andrew. So actually, you know, all these events and stuff, like aside from the live shows, the after dinner speeches, the stand-up gigs, whatever you want to call them, the events, the giving back, however you want to package it, right? Okay.
Giving back.
However you want to package it, okay? We're going to do an advertisement later on in the show, Andrew. But it was good at the weekend. All good, mate. As you know, we're at the busiest end of the season, so things start to accelerate on a few different fronts. And I'm in a good space. I'm in a good place, Andrew. You good self?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. A big shout out to Lincoln Rugby Club. I was up there on Thursday night delivering a after-dinner speech for their sportsman's dinner. Or sportsperson's dinner, I should say. So we've got it all correct. But yeah, no, mate, back on the tools as well. And had a weekend with the fam because I've got a big weekend coming up in Cardiff. So yeah, all good, mate. I played a lot of golf and I'm refreshed and I'm ready to go.
That's good. I'm going to just check in on our producer, Rob, because last week was a down week for you, and that's fine. How are you this week, Rob?
He was a shambles last week, wasn't he?
I've hurt my back, lads.
Oh, no.
Hang on.
Yeah, I'm getting that age.
You've hurt your back? Don't tell me. So you're struggling to get flights down to Australia. You're looking for every excuse now to pull out. How bad is it?
It's just a pulled muscle, but I've had a whinge. So
I would say back is 3rd down the list of pain. Give me the top 2 most painful things a man, woman or dog can have.
A man, a shot in the nuts, without a shadow of a doubt.
No, I'll lose
I'm telling
both
you
nuts.
now, that'll fail any man.
No.
A good old plum shot will fail any man unless they've had them chopped off.
I've seen yours. Yours are pretty big, so like mine are like wet tea bags. But Rob, give me the top 2. So if the back is 3rd in line, what am I thinking for the top 2 most niggly, painful things you can have?
Haven't you broke your sternum? Isn't that quite bad?
Yeah, breaking your sternum's bad, but it's still not as bad as these 2. It's like this is what everyday people get.
Oh, Jim, I've got it. I've got one of them for you.
Go on then.
Well, I mentioned it earlier, you B4 teeth. It's got to be some tooth pain.
I'd say toothache number 1, earache number 2, and backache number 3.
Yeah,
there ain't nothing worse than toothache. Nothing.
What do you mean toothache? What's tooth?
That's what they say in Scotland.
Toothache?
Tooth.
Really?
Yeah.
Tooth, James.
It's like we say bath, you say bath.
It's bath and it's tooth.
Anyway, Rob, I'm feeling for you, mate.
Right, lads, enough about me and my back. Let's get into the Prem then. So Bath confirmed top seeds. They look like they're just going to piss it this year, don't they?
No, Roberta. Anyway, first and foremost, it's Bath, just to clear that up. And Bath. Secondly,
Bath.
They are the favourites, right? And, you know, fair play to them. Johan van Graham, his coaching staff, Lee Blackett, everyone else involved there. They've built a great squad this year. Things have gone nicely for them. They've had, to my knowledge, had a few injuries, but no. I mean, Finn's the major one that you lose him, you're fucked.
Well, Ollie Lawrence as well, Biggie.
Yeah, it's true, actually. I forgot about Ollie Lawrence. But the way the squad's built, and you look at the weekend, Redpath starts with Will Butt in the centres, and then Ajomo comes off the bench and gets man of the match after 25 minutes, which I absolutely love, to be fair. But they built a nice squad there, right? So Ben Spencer and Finn Russell are so integral to the success that they've had this year. And I'm not just saying it's down to those two, because it isn't. But if they were to get injured, you then question, the depth of 9 and 10, and how they could cope with it. But ultimately, they've gone exceptionally well in the league. They fully deserve to finish top. Decent game at the weekend. In the first half, it was pretty tight, wasn't it? 19-15 at half-time. Leicester putting up a good fight. And Leicester kind of knew that if they won that game, they guarantee themselves a home semi-final. There's no way Bath were going to let that happen. Leicester also kind of knew they've got Newcastle at home with the last game of the season, which, as most teams this year, without disrespecting the Newcastle Red Bulls, which we might get onto a bit later, it's a banker win. So, Leicester are still in control of their own destiny about getting a home semi-final. But just looking at Finn, and I suppose the two things, and it was the two different ends of the spectrum. Finn Russell was the rock star, right? He's gone there, he's up the levels, players around him are performing better. He's making players around him better as well. And you go to the Tom Dunn try, right, which, you look at the old school Bath where you've got Tom Dunn, who is at the coalface. He's seen a lot of scrums. He's seen a lot of niggle. I reckon he gets hit around at training because the amount of bumps and bruises and bashes he's had around the head and the face. He ain't the best looking bloke, let's be honest. And then you've got the king of Bath, Finn Russell, with the sick offload. But then you see the dummy that he pulls out for his try, right? And it's come from a magical offload from Finn Russell. But Tom Dunn, with the dummy, the smile, the celebration, it was wonderful to see. And that was his 184th Premiership appearance for Bath, which is a club record. So you've got the old school in terms of guys that have been around and been gnarly and proper club players. And then you've got the Stardust in Finn that's come in, who's bought into absolutely everything. And they fully deserve the victory. Dominated Leicester in the second half, which will be a worry for Leicester going into the playoffs. But Bath thoroughly deserved of finishing top, comfortably finishing top, and playing some really, really good rugby along the way as well.
Do you think that is a bit of a mental blow for Leicester then, at this time of the season, to play Bath and for them to win so comfortably?
The scoreline is, when you look at it like that, and Leicester have been good this year. They have, haven't they? They've been up and down at points. The amount of drama that they've had around the coach again, and Pollard leaving, and Julian Montoya leaving as well. But in answer to your question, like watching the game, it didn't feel like 43 points to 15.
No.
Like Leicester were firing shots, they were physical. But Bath's in the red zone when they get close to the try line, we talk about Finn Russell, but it's their power game that's really impressive to me. Like their driving line out, the pick and go, like Alfie Barbary in them channels, the bench that they brought on with Will Stewart and stuff like that. And it's a strength in depth. Whereas you look at Leicester now, they've got some brilliant players. They've got British and Irish Lions, they've got legends of the game, they've got World Cup winners, and the score line is probably what feels most uncomfortable for them. But like Goody said, it's all in their hands. They're making a surge. With them and Sale, they're the kind of ones, they're the two teams, I think, that could beat Bath if it came to a final. And in my opinion, it's going to be one of those teams, I think. We don't know who's going to be fourth. It is almost like a race to fourth now, isn't it? With a Bristols and a Gloucester now, and potentially Saracens. You never know. But the one for me, like in answer to your first question about Bath, Sale's the one. Because they've got the physicality, they're a team that are on form, they can score any which way, the aerial ability they've got. But, mate, Leicester are good. I mean, it'd be awesome. As a Leicester fan, it'd be awesome to see them go out with a Prem or go out in a final, to see off Checker, to see off Andre Pollard, who is a legend of the game. And I was going to say, talking of legends of the game, Ben Youngs, I know there was a big hoo-ha, with all due respect, around Danny Kerr at the weekend, but Youngsy, friend of the show, friend of mine and Goody, I was there with him when he was a kid coming through at Leicester. I mean, what a way to go out in a final, obviously, for them to win it. But there's a lot to play for Leicester this season, with Jeff Parling coming into the club. But Bath, just to kind of close off this bit, look really, really good. They've got the Challenge Cup as well, haven't they? They've got the Challenge Cup final, and they've got Saracens as well. I mean, it's clearly obvious to see, right? The Challenge Cup is the one for them because they've got a home semi. But you look at the strength and the depth that Johan van Gram's built around Bath, they're brilliant. It's been a successful season like last year was, but ultimately for them now it's about winning something or two things this year, and they're in it now, aren't they? So fair play.
Well, they've already won one thing as well. They won the Premiership Cup, that big one, James, as well.
Yeah.
So they're going for some sort of treble, which isn't a real treble, but it will be a treble.
You
of
said it.
trophies.
You brought it up, Andrew. You said the word treble.
I'm really impressed with Sale towards the end of the season. I think they're going to make a real charge for the final. I know you've said there, Goody, you reckon Leicester are probably edging the favourites there if it does fall that way, but I think Sale are really good at the minute.
I love the way you said that in a harsh northern voice as well. I really love Sale.
Yeah, that's where he's going. He's dreaming of the Red Bull Newcastle team, which we'll get on to. I'll be very surprised if this happens, by the way. But if there is...
Don't be negative.
Don't be next, Jim.
No, it's not negative. It's honest.
Lose the negs. Red Bulls are coming in. They're going to give you wings.
There's a fine line between negativity and honesty, right? You and Red Bull are going through this mad big investment at the minute that I saw, and they're a brilliant company, like really cool brand and stuff like that. You have to ask yourself, why would you do that? Like, I'm not being a see you next Tuesday. Go on, Rob. Go on. You're looking with a face. So if you are a business, right, or you are a brand, okay, and you are invited, you are asked, you are begged to come into a sport, tell me what the sell is. So I just want you now to say, we are segueing slightly, but I know you would go. Here you go.
Well, so we had Peter Burnick, didn't we, on the other couple of weeks ago, the Chicago Hounds owner, and he was talking about how they've managed to get investment in rugby in America because it's really cheap to get involved. You know, if you want to buy,
you can't just
buy
sell it on cheapness. You've got to sell the dream, Rob. You're like, it's like going down the shops and saying, "Oh, there's a can of Tennent's there, and it's 50p, so I'm definitely going to buy it."
And it's boiling not. Hang on, Rob.
And
Can I just say
Tennent's.
I'm out? So you know, like Dragon's Den, I'm out because straight away you've devalued our sport by saying it's cheap. Okay, and oh, by the way, have you got what players have you got? No, all our best players are left. Keep going, Rob. Keep going. I'm not trying to be out of order. Go.
You are. But I mean, we all know what's great about rugby and why brands would want to invest in it. And a team like Newcastle are a great entry point into that because they're basically going to give it away for a quid.
Cheap again.
Oh, gosh, you are devaluing this, mate.
I mean, yeah, they've got a little bit of debt to come with them. But to rebuild the squad, I mean, obviously there's a salary cap in the Prem anyway, so it's not like they can come in and, you know, spend 20 million quid like they would have to in football, for example. I know they've got a football club, haven't they already? Is it Germany
New
or
York? They've got one.
Austria or
They've got a few, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. So I think it's a great idea. I think they should come on board.
Sold.
It's a great idea. It's cheap. Let's do it.
Oh my word!
I hope they do. And Jim's obviously looking at it from a broader perspective of, you know, whether it was Jim's cash going in, and I get that point, but the bottom line here, to be fair, Jim, he is right. It's A, it's cheap. B, Red Bull have got loads of money. C, the amount of cool shit you could do. You might not get any return on investment, but fuck it, you'll have fun doing it. So come on, Red Bull, get yourselves down to not even Newcastle, because there's reports that they're moving. Where are they moving to? Donny. Not Doncaster, but where is it? Donington? No, where?
Darlington.
Darlington, yeah. I mean, loads of Ds. Double Ds.
So
I'm used to double
Darlington
Ds.
Malden Park, who play in Nat 1, actually play out of a 25,500 seat stadium.
Yeah.
So the plan is they would move from Kingston Park, which is what 10,000 seat stadium.
Yeah, it's only got a bit of history from the likes of Doddy Weir and Johnny Wilkinson and Gareth Archer. Keep going, sorry.
Yeah, and they want it in.
Bin that. Move to Darlington because it's 5 minutes from my house, which would make the drive to the games easier. And then if you think geographically where that would place them, that puts them. Darlington's kind of North Yorkshire, so we would pick up that hole in the game in terms of when we lost Leeds out the top flight.
Yeah, so you pissed off all the Newcastle fans, yeah.
And then we'll get all the Yorkshire lads on board. We can go, you're on the A1, you come straight across from Cumbria, so we got all those lads from...
Rob, I don't think you've sold it, I'll be honest, mate, and let's
cheap.
just stick to...
It's
cheap. It's cheap. Rob, what was the initial question? Because it was Sale. Sale, on the other hand, for me, that's a sellable team, and that we know... Simon Orange was going to call him Jason there, his brother's name. Sorry, Simon, who's a big listener of the show.
Simon's a legend.
Yeah, he's a legend, and he's invested into that team, and he's sold his business for £1 billion now. So this is pocket change for him now.
Just
so
fucking throw more money at it, Simon. Come on.
But they are a team that you can get behind. The way that they play with Alex Sanderson at the helm, with how well George Ford's gone, the fact that there is a South African backbone to the team, but you've got some brilliant English talent, young English talent coming through, and they're making a run for it. They are making a proper run for it. And we spoke about them last week. We spoke about the win against Saracens that they had as well, and they look really, really good, to be fair. And again, at the weekend against Bristol's 41 points to 27. Strong start. They were winning 20 points to 5 at half-time. Yes, Bristol had a fight back, but Sale looked good. Ben Curry, phenomenal. We were chatting about Tom last week. And
how's he not a British and Irish lion? Yeah, his twin brother is.
Well, we did chat about it last week, didn't we?
I listened back to it and I thought you were a bit harsh on Ben, and that's why he's gone and
there you go.
torn up trees on Friday night, Jim.
It's not me saying that, is it? I'm a massive fan of him. I'm just saying.
You were like, he's not quite as strong as his brother, and it's not. I'm like, I can't tell the difference. I've commentated on them a fair bit, and I'm like, they're both equally monstrous.
They are, and especially this year. Ben's come to the fore properly this year. Like, he's really taken over. But anyway, big shout out to Sale. George Ford, unbelievable. Ran the show again, kicked 16 points, game management. He was phenomenal again.
He was very good, yeah. And he got April's Player of the Month in the Premiership as well, James.
What did you get for that now? A watch?
Don't know.
Someone's washing money. It ain't us.
Yeah.
But on Bristol, we'll just finish off with this. They must win against Harlequins to stay in the top 4. So
in their own hands, James.
In their own hands, yeah. They slip up, and we mentioned it there. We referenced it. Opens the door to Gloucester or my Saracens.
There's a lot to talk about that game as well, isn't there, James?
You're right, there is. Where is Luke Pearce? Where are you, bro?
I was messaging him again at the weekend, trying to get some chat out of him.
There's not wanting to. There's not wanting to not give the try, and there's not wanting to not give the try. He's running, saying, "I've already given it. I've given it. I've asked the question."
You're talking about the last try.
Yeah,
you're talking about Tariq Kafar's match winner where he skins. Was it Elliot, the fullback?
Forget that. I ain't bothered about that. Yeah, that's the try. I'm on about Fraser Dingwall, where he's basically passed it, like it's almost hit the post.
Well, let's rewind. I hear you.
And I'm going to get to that game. Let's go into that game then.
Let's go into that game.
All right, let's move in.
I'll rewind it to the first half where Elliot Daly flings it over the top. I think it was Gonzalez that scored in the corner.
Yes.
Do you think that one was forward as well, James?
It was flat at best.
You know how sometimes things work themselves out and level themselves out?
No, Andrew, no, that's a ridiculous thing to say.
It's not. You can't stand there.
You
can't, just because it's the last minute and the last play of the game and the try that won the game, you can't say that's more important than the forward pass from Elliot Daly out to Gonzalez on the wing in the first half. Because it's the same. It's a try.
Andrew,
it's the same.
You know, you're just saying that because you're being a dickhead because you don't like Saracens.
How angry he's getting because it's his Saracens.
You know,
don't forget, we're going to Northampton on Thursday for a live show.
And for them, it didn't matter to them. Luke, it didn't matter to Northampton.
It did, momentum.
Mate. It didn't matter. You know? Yeah, it's all going well for them. You cannot, in that moment of the game, like, I mean, the fact that, how many replays did we get?
Yeah, there's a fair few. I saw loads.
Okay, here we go. Let's go to a neutral. All right.
He's angry.
Let's go to a neutral.
I'm neutral.
Okay. But we're in Northampton on Thursday, so there's a part of you where it's like you want to keep people on side. I'm going to go to Rob and ask him, okay, was it a forward pass? Just yes or no, Rob. Was it forward?
Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
No.
It was forward.
Let me talk to you about the mechanics of the offload, right?
Do not talk to me about mechanics of athleticism, Andrew. I'm not having
mechanics of the offload. Have you ever done an offload like this in your life where you get your hands through, like Fraser Dingwall did, and you get hit? What direction were his hands going in for the offload?
Towards the posts.
No, they weren't, James. Have another look at it. His hands travel backwards, but it looks forward because after or in the process of getting rid of the ball with the offload around the back of two tacklers, he's been drilled backwards and his momentum's taking him backwards. So it looks forward, James. But we should credit the skill of Fraser Dingwall, the Northampton Saints captain, taking the risk of getting that offload away, which creates another offload, which leads to some unbelievable footwork from Tariq Kafar, Leicester Tigers Tariq Kafar next season.
Good finish, to be fair.
Hell of a finish for a prop.
Okay, but I'm not going to be manipulated by you on this.
I'm just telling you, I've done loads of those in training. I've seen it. I've been trying to do it in games. Pat Howard it was the master of getting his hands through. Back,
Oh
I'm going
my
back to the glory
word.
days
My
and getting his,
word.
and he said, hands back, hands have gone back. It's gone backwards, James.
Andrew.
Just dry your eyes.
It's gone forward. So the fact that you're even trying to justify the one in the first half, because you're bringing that up, so you say, well, that one was forward, so that one's
Well,
forward.
no,
so,
I'm saying
it's
that if you're
absolutely
claiming
fine.
that one was forward by Fraser Dingwall, how about Elliot Daly's one in the first half?
It's the moment in the game. It's
It
an
shouldn't
injury
matter.
time.
Shouldn't matter whether it's if someone gets sparked in the first minute or the 80th with their shoulder to the head, it's a fucking red
you're
card,
only
Jim.
but you're going to
forward
talk
pass
about
in the
that
first
last
minute,
moment.
20th minute, 80th. It's a forward
All
pass
right.
or it isn't,
Okay,
James.
so was it a forward pass, yes or no?
No, it wasn't.
You didn't think it was forward?
I didn't think it was forward. No,
Okay,
I thought,
right, but
I
you
thought it was
you
flat.
thought Elliot Daly's was forward, though?
I could argue that was forward, yeah.
Okay, all right then.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just.
I hear you.
Congratulations to Northampton, by the way. But I mean, Saracens, and I know they'll be looking at themselves. They were leading 24 points to 7 after 45 minutes. So it was, it just seemed like they were on. The Saracens of old were on, and they were desperate to get into the top 4, and it looked comfortable, right? And you're at Franklin's Gardens, or Cinch Franklin's Gardens, we should call it now, as we're friends of the Northampton Saints. But
We'll be better friends if you say it went backwards, Jim.
But I'm an honest man. I'm not a liar, so I would never say that.
I'm not a
I just
liar
couldn't
either.
do it.
That's my take on it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Well, Gloucester need to beat Saints at home the week after the Champions Cup final, and they need results to look favourably on them as well, for those guys to make the top 4. But they beat the Falcons pretty comfortably at Kingston Park, didn't they? Did you watch it on Friday?
Yes, Roberto. Just quickly on Gloucester, what about all the players that are leaving?
Yeah.
Mental.
Ridiculous list, Ken. Was it something like 19 players?
I was looking there because I think it was 19, but the fact that you said 19, it's 19, because I was going to say 19, and it's 19 players. And you think Zach Mercer, Ruan Ackerman,
Where's he off, Zach?
Gareth Hanscom. I think Zach's going to France. Yeah, I don't know whether it's confirmed if he's going to Toulon. I don't know where Ruan Ackerman's going. Carreras is obviously going to Bath. I mean, that's 19 players. I know they've made some signings, but I mean, it's Gloucester are weird. I have to call it out. I've got to call them out for this, because their Achilles heel, even since before I was there, when they build a squad that's doing really well, for whatever reason, they just don't carry it through. And it was the same when I was there. They just don't carry that squad through. So if you're, I do wonder, a lot of mates with Alex Brown, the CEO, I played with them at Gloucester. There's some brilliant people involved in the club. But I saw that and I was like, well, you're not interested in winning? Are you not interested in keeping the cohesiveness of the squad going through? Like Thomas Williams, Gareth Hanscom has been a great partnership that's kind of seen you through the season. Ruan Ackerman has been a bull of a player for you. You went all out to get a Zach Mercer, and now he's not there.
What's happening?
You get really
Albert Tuisui's off as well.
Tuisui's off as well. He's not done a huge amount since he's been there, to be fair, without sounding too
No,
harsh.
because Zach's played a lot, but also Freddie Clark's gone.
This is what I mean.
That was a strange one for me. It doesn't look like he's gone anywhere either. He's just been released.
So,
Chris Harris, another.
Chris Harris will probably end up at Worcester, I reckon. He's got a couple of years left in him. But I looked at that and I was like, not only are they your best players, right, but the cohesiveness of the backbone of your team. It's the spine of your team.
And you're starting to get somewhere as well.
So that's always been a thing with Gloucester. So I just wanted to kind of not call them out, but just mention that on here, because it's a real shame, because the likelihood is I think they make top 4. I think they get that 4th position. They've had a brilliant season. They've played some fantastic rugby. They've gone to Newcastle on Friday, which is notoriously a tough place for Gloucester and for teams to go, but for Gloucester specifically. And, you know, the news in the week was you're losing 19 players and replacing them with 5.
To be fair, though, they've made some decent signings.
Who they got coming in, Roberto?
So Ross Burns coming from Leinster.
Good signing.
So he's going to be great in the Prem, I think.
Yep.
You got Will Joseph from Quins.
Yeah.
Ben Lauder, do you remember Ben Lauder from
he's
Irish?
at
He's been at
Stormers.
Stormers.
Yeah, he's looked good at
Really good
Stormers.
player. Ben Redshaw, the young lad from Newcastle.
Have they paid for that yet,
20s.
though? Have they paid for that? They've got to pay some money for that.
Right,
Right?
Red Bull are investing
We need
millions.
some
So, no, you
compensation.
don't need any now. It's all good.
Have Sarries paid as well for the lads that they've
Don't
had?
need to. No.
No?
Phil
Okay.
Brantingham. No need.
Okay, next
All
one,
above
Rob.
And James Venter's coming as well. So they've made some decent... Oh, yeah, I know 19 players leaving's a lot, but they have made some good signings.
Haven't they got
as
Nepo
well.
Laulala coming as well? Is it Nepo Laulala?
Yeah, I did see that he's training with them. I don't know if he's signed for them,
I
but
think
he's
he's
been
signed for
training with
next
them.
year as well.
I see. Okay, there you go. Well, but you know what I mean? It takes a while to reboot a team, doesn't it? You look at Northampton, how long it's taken them to come good and like integrate the young lads coming through with some of their signings. It's just a frustration of mine because Gloucester have always done it. Even when I was there, they got rid of the backbone of the team. So it's something that has always been deep rooted in the club. You ain't going to win things if you keep changing your squad. So it ain't happening, unfortunately, as much as I want them to. But yeah, good win on Friday against Newcastle. Much needed after they took a tonking, didn't they, at Quins the week before? So
yeah, that's the one that's really cost them. Then they need Bristol to lose to Harlequins, and Harlequins have got nothing to play for because they didn't go after the bonus point with the last play of the game, did they? Danny Kerr just booted it off, and they could have.
Is he
still
retiring?
been in with I think he's retiring. Yeah, yeah. Fair play to him. Hell of a career.
Hell of a career,
but anyway, you know, Bristol will play Quins at home, and they're 2 points clear of Gloucester in 5th place. So I don't think Gloucester make it, and they'll look back on a couple of games that they should have, could have, would have won. But they've had a significant rise over the last couple of years under Skivs. Remember when I tipped them to finish last a couple of years ago? Wasn't that far off though. Anyway, good on them. The problem is it's going to take a lot to rejig it and integrate those players for next season. But they're in a positive place, James, apart from losing 19 players.
Well, you mentioned it a bit there about some of the potential issues that Saints might have for this Champions Cup final. If you're looking at this list of injuries, it's looking a little bit worrying now, isn't it?
Yeah, a little. It's a one-off game. It's a shootout. It's Bordeaux versus Northampton Saints in Cardiff. It's a one-off shootout. So yeah, look, if I was a fan, you'd be concerned. I'm a fan of the game, but if I'm a fan of Northampton with some of them players, because they've been brilliant, like Curtis Langdon, Goody referenced it there, has been brilliant for them. James Ram has been awesome for them. Augustus, I think, is going to be fit as well. He's been standout this season for them. And Alex Coles as well. So depending on where they are, and this is the thing with rugby, right? Like the game at the weekend, it was a dead game for Northampton. They had to play that game. They won that game, and that gives them a bit of momentum and gives the fans a little bit of energy. Not that they need it to go down to Cardiff at the weekend, but it's a one-off, it's a shootout, it's a final. I think regardless of what happens, and this is only going based on history, it's going to be close. As good as Bordeaux are, I can't wait. Andrew, I know you're on commentary. I'm very jealous that I'm not going to be there, that I'm going to be watching it, because this is what rugby's made for, right? And we've been down sometimes, or I have specifically, on the Champions Cup or European Cup or whatever you want to call it, and the South African teams, and like the formation of the pools and how you get out of the pools and the round of 16 and the confusion and the non-globalisation. See, all of these, forget all that. This is the Champions fucking Cup final. Like, this is awesome. This is what rugby's about. And you look now at the business end of the season, I've always believed there needs to be a quicker route. There needs to be more jeopardy along the way. But this is the Champions Cup final. Goody, we've been lucky enough to have played in a few, won, lost, however you want to look at it, played a huge part in it. Yourself, Goody, played 2 minutes in it to close it out for me. But these are occasions...
Big 2 minutes though, they were, Jim.
Yeah, they were big, huge 2 minutes. And I made sure that I lapped up every 2 minutes that
2
I was
minutes
out
and then
there.
centre of every picture. It was fucking amazing. I've
But
never
with
seen
this,
John
mate,
Terry
you know,
like it in my
and
life.
you saw the scenes in La Rochelle. You saw the scenes when Northampton Saints won the Premiership. Like, you, just to name some, Toulouse, and when they won the Champions Cup, like this kind of game, the magnitude of this final, it binds a city, it binds a town together. And the scenes after this game, whoever wins, you're going to see what rugby means, because Bordeaux, rugby's the heartbeat of that place. Is it a city or a town? Doesn't matter, the city, town, whatever it is. But Northampton's a town. Rugby is the heartbeat. It's the soul of that town. And if they win, right, can you imagine the scenes? Like, it's going to be absolutely brilliant. So it's a great week for rugby. It's a great week for English rugby. And I can't wait, pal.
Yeah, I can't wait for this week. I'm actually going up to Northampton tomorrow to interview Sam Vesti. But for me, like, it's the biggest game I've ever commentated on in my life. Champions Cup final, like you say it, and you go back over the other finals. I've been at the last 3 as an ambassador for EPCR, so the Champions Cup, and I've had wicked weekends. But actually commentating on the biggest game, biggest club game in the world, I'm very grateful for the opportunity. The hairs at the back of my neck are standing up. But I just hope that the game. See, when we talk about these Northampton players, so Coles has come off, Curtis Langdon, Hendy as well. Furbank, he's out. Yeah, Slightholme's out. So there's a lot of players missing. James Ram, if they can get James Ram fit and Coles is fit and Langdon's fit, they've got a chance. And I really hope they can get back to the levels that they did in the last 20 minutes against Sarries, but mainly against Leinster, because physicality is going to be required against this massive Bordeaux team. But the one thing that Saints will look at, and perhaps it won't affect them directly, but someone's got to say it. The last time Bordeaux played in a big final was the top 14 final last year, and they got 50 put on them by Toulouse. And they've righted that wrong by beating Toulouse in the semi-final. And, you know, they've obviously done exceptionally well this year, hosing teams left, right and centre. Penno's out injured, I think. I'm not sure whether he's going to be fit. But like you said, some players react very differently. Some players grow immensely in a final, in that atmosphere. Principality, be as close to sold out as possible. And some players rise to it. And you've seen Saints, they've risen to what everyone thought was the biggest challenge, going over to Leinster in a semi-final at the Aviva, where I can't even remember anyone winning a knockout game that wasn't a final against Leinster in the Champions Cup for God knows how long at the Aviva. I know La Rochelle beat them in the final there a couple of years ago, but anywhere before that, quarter semis, last 16, they've dominated, haven't they? And so they've climbed the biggest mountain to get to the final, and they've got to climb it again and take on this monstrous Bordeaux team. You know, Coleman in the second row, you know, I've always thought he's a brilliant player. Tamafuna, whether he starts or not, big unit. They've got Moafana in the centres, Bielbiere, Luku, Jalibanter at fly half. Their team is littered.
I'm looking at their team now that played
Pete
against
Samu
Toulouse.
in the back row,
is
an absolute monster.
Yeah,
they're a proper outfit, and Saints will have to dig as deep as they can into the well to repeat what they did against Leinster. And I'm sure they've got that in them, but they'll be helped if they can have Curtis Langdon fit, Alex Coles fit, James Ram fit. And they have that starting team of Mitchell, Finn Smith, Dingwall, all these players, Tommy Freeman, Hutchinson, the centres as well. Maybe they go Odendale if he's fit. I don't know whether he is fit for a bit of physicality, but it's going to be a belting game. And Saints, as we saw over in Leinster, they won't go there and not fire shots. You talk about Finn Smith, the kick that he put through at the weekend. His short kicking game, I'm going to say it's best in the world. As a 10, as someone that just sees space, executes it, and whether it's a little chip, a little grubber, it's phenomenal. And they're going to need some of that magic at the weekend. They're going to need some of the stuff that they did in the semi-final with Freeman and attacking from, loose box kicks or, open field kick returns. Yeah, they're an exciting attacking team, Saints, and I really, really do hope that they have all their players fit that took knocks at the weekend, and they can really pump themselves up and go and have a proper crack, because if they do, they've got a chance. If it comes down to just the physicality and it's scrum to line out drive to all this stuff, then I think Bordeaux have the power. But I'm keeping my fingers and toes crossed that everyone's fit for Saints and they can come out and make it an epic final and lift the trophy. And that's from a Leicester man. That's from a Leicester man. I'd much rather Saints win than Bordeaux.
Henry Pollock to win it with a breakaway try.
There you go. No. Imagine the scenes. Imagine.
Could you imagine? I mean,
I can. You can actually imagine it, can't you?
Could, but I don't want to keep going all in on him. He's
Let's
had
do
another
it,
week stroking the line.
He rises to the challenge, mate.
Yeah, he does. Actually, yeah. You know what? We're actually there on Thursday, so let's bring them all down, and we will talk. I was going to say something else there. We're going to pump them up. Let's say we will pump them up.
Bring them all down and we will pump them up in Northampton Saints. Cinch Franklin's Gardens.
Okay, well on that I'm going to do the proper read, Andrew, on here, because we plan on giving the lads a hell of a send-off this Thursday. the live show at the Cinch Stadium at Franklin Gardens. We've got a few legends coming, Andrew. Tom Wood, my former neighbour. Alex Waller, Stephen Myler. So some club legends are going to be joining us on stage.
Yes, James. And Alex Waller and Tom Wood are in business together, aren't they? They make some unbelievable things out of wood, being Tom Wood.
Tom Wood.
Yeah.
It's just it's like Billy 12 trees.
Yeah, well, that could be a good combo as well. But check them out at wallerandwoodwoodworks.com. There's a lot of wood in there. I've got wood just talking about it, to be fair. So wallerandwoodwoodworks.com if you're interested and find out more, but have a look at them.
Is there any tickets left for that? Have we sold out?
There's a few tickets left, I think, Roberto. I don't know how big we're going. Are we doing it in the set? Are we doing it like a concert, like if Beyonce was in town? Is that so? If so, there we go. There's a few tickets available. Then there are. So, big shout out to James Wotton as well, who's been
my guy.
Yeah, he's a bit of my guy as well. I like Big Woods.
He's a top man, is James Wotton.
But also to Saints as a whole, as a club, for hosting us and sorting us out with a bigger venue. So there are more tickets on sale, which is cool, but just a few more. So go grab yours now at ticketpass.org and just search the Rugby Pod and you'll get it on there. So we're really looking forward to being there on Thursday night with some legends.
We certainly are. And a big shout out as well to Premier Sports, who are sponsoring the event. Even better, if you've not signed up for them yet, they're giving you 50% off a 2-month subscription using the code TheRugbyPod at checkout. So big shout out to Premier Sports for the sponsorship and get subscribing.
Right, lads. In other news?
Hold on. You got to give it a bit more than that.
He knows what's coming.
As good as you,
he knows what's coming. He knows it's negative, so I'll do it. In other news, in other news. Oh, negativity's flowing. It's negative, yeah, and it's nothing to do with Scotland or England because it's in Ireland.
Oh, no.
And Wales, but we'll start off with Ireland. And it's nothing to do with them not doing any British and Irish Lions reveal videos or engaging with the wider rugby fraternity when the Lions got announced a couple of weeks ago and you didn't see anything because they're a closed-off shop. It's to do with the axing of the Sevens, but not the Sevens specifically, the men's specifically, the Sevens. So does that make sense?
Just the men's, yeah. They've binned the men's off.
Basically, they've binned off the men's. That's it.
They've
had enough.
They've kept the women's, binned the men's, and said, "No, it's too much." What's going on, Jim?
Why? I love how you put it on me because you know that I know things that are going on. But
what do you know?
What do you know, Jim?
I just know it's fucked.
What do you know? You know that the Sevens has lost about 25 million quid. Is that what you're saying?
What I shouldn't be doing is laughing when I say that. I'm saying it as a nervous laugh. Like I'm saying it like it's fucked, and I'm laughing because I've seen under the bonnet. And yeah, it's a real shame. And look, you know, there were some parts of it, like on the group, some of the group chats I was in, like it was. Has the Pentagon gone down or something? I think one of the guys on our chat said it, and I was like, no, the Sevens is not being funded now, the men's Sevens specifically. So yeah, that's exactly what's happening. It costs a lot of money. I think it costs about £1 million to fund a men's team this year. The Sevens, as we know, is brilliant. We've been to the Hong Kong ones. I've been to the Cape Town before. I've been to Singapore. I've seen the atmosphere and the energy around it, but the nuts and the bolts of it are it makes no money. It loses a lot of money. And the argument is on this, and I'm on the other side of the argument when it comes to development. I believe the Sevens is a great pathway for athletes. I think it really serves the women's game. You know that I'm big on that. I've mentioned Australia and Madison Levi and some of the great athletes that are playing in the Australia team specifically when I've watched them. But the men's as well has been a great gateway and a great pathway to get into the 15s and international, but also the big headline events that come around the Olympics and stuff like that every 4 years. But I had a feeling, and I've got a feeling on other things that are coming round, that stuff needs to give. And Ireland have gone in early. They've got no money. They gave it all to Geordie and they gave it all to RG. And they
hold on. Leo has cleared that up.
I know.
So, and that is a good point around, you know, it's a money decision. And I just imagine the uproar if they'd have sacked off the women's Sevens but kept the men's, and what people have said about that. But the men's Sevens, and people have said, oh, you know, you could sign all these rock stars, Rico Ioane and RG Snyman and obviously Geordie Barrett's there this year. But to clear it up, that's not coming out of the RFU coffers. That's coming out of Leinster. So Leo Collins said it himself, that Leinster is self-funded. And, that's up to them how they spend that money that they produce and, the revenues, et cetera, and how they want to spend their budget on players and what they see as their strengths and what's required to try and win the Champions Cup effectively, because they still haven't managed it for a fair few years. But on that note, and there's a lot of ill feeling around it. Some people have said, "Oh, you've kept the women, but you've binned off the men." That's not right, and whatever. Harry McNulty's obviously made a few comments and did a piece on Instagram and the various social media platforms talking about. The biggest one for me is how much they spend on the travel of all the Alakadoos and all that stuff. And they're thinking, eventually, lads, you ain't going to be able to go and watch anything. So you want to keep the Sevens programme open. And the strides that Ireland have made in the Sevens, and when you read and see the stats of what they've produced and how far they've grown. I remember we were at Hong Kong years ago, Jim. And do you remember there was a playoff game where I think Ireland won it to make it into the World Series? And that's going back like 6-7 years. But what they've produced over the time since they've been on the circuit in the top tier competition and the players that are playing it in the pathways has been massive. They were one of the best teams in the world at times, which, when you're looking at New Zealand and Australia and Fiji and, teams that have had Argentina now one of the best, but I think they got bronze at the World Cup, didn't they? And they've done exceptionally well. And the player pathway and the players that have developed into the 15s game off the back of the Sevens, I do think it's a misstep. I get the financial issues in the game. That the RFU have looked at it and said, right, let's cut Sevens. There we can save £1 million or whatever it is, euros, or whatever the number is. But and there's more pain to come in rugby for this. We've seen it happen to England Sevens, who used to have a super successful program that they ran, and then that merged into Great Britain around the Olympics, and that probably helped out Wales and Scotland for not spending money individually, but not having that thing where we haven't got a Sevens team now. So it's a massive shame. But again, you go back to the numbers and what works and what doesn't, and when businesses have to cut costs.
There you go, Andrew. On that point specifically, that's where it is. And look, this is the harsh reality of it, isn't it? It's the same happened to the London Irish, with Worcester, with Wasps, and fans will dictate the direction of a sport or an interest. And yeah, they come out for the Sevens and they watch and they have a big lash up, basically, but they couldn't name any Sevens players. I'd say I'm saying that with all due respect. And then the sponsors and the TV deals, if they're not there, the money isn't there. And I don't want to see the Sevens teams fold. I don't want to see Worcester, and I know they're back, or Wasps or London Irish or a Welsh region go. Like, it's sad to see. But ultimately, sport is driven by money. And that's what it is. And it's driven by fandom. And if it isn't there, then there's some harsh, uncomfortable conversations that need to be had. And this Ireland Sevens team, men's team specifically, get it correct. If they're to do and look at things properly, they won't be the first to go, unfortunately.
Which is a sad state of affairs.
Yeah. I will finish with this as well. I think what it needs to be, it can't just be an Instagram post from the RFU saying this is what's happening. Bernard Jackman, friend of the show, made a good point, and he's calling for more transparency around the decisions. And naturally, the players are fuming as now their only option is to try and get contracted in the 15s game. So I think Dave Humphreys, who I'm a big fan of as well, and the RFU, what we don't do in rugby is have full transparency. And someone needs to come out and be like, look,
hold a presser.
Hold a press conference and just have people ask questions and do it not in a negative way, just be truthful. Just come out and say, look, this is costing us X. We don't have the money to do this anymore, and we're keeping the women's game because of the World Cup next year, whatever the reasons are, and stop pandering and stop hushing and whispering. Just come out and just say it how it is. That's what the UFC, that's what Dana White does.
Yeah. That's what we do on this podcast, Jim.
Andrew, it is. I
say what we see.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned it then, Jim, just before. Welsh teams potentially going down to 3. There's carnage in Wales again. The pantomime is continuing in Wales, and it looks like the WRU are going to axe the 4-region model. they've now given notice on the professional game agreement.
So confusing.
25. That two of the teams haven't even signed. The Scarlets and Ospreys haven't even signed it. And the WRU have already given a 2-year notice on it. So what's happening here?
Andrew, there needs to be a
just get rid of the drags.
Dummies. That's the thing. Like for me, it looks as simple and as horrible and as negative as it sounds, just to get rid of the drags. But I don't understand. And maybe you're the man to do that, Andrew. Maybe there's a rugby business podcast explainer style rugby for dummies in business. I don't know. It actually works. There's definitely a podcast there. There's a title there that needs to be owned because that's what it is. It's rugby for dummies sometimes, and actually understanding about the PRA 25 funding, central contracts, WRU implementing new tier 2 funding. It just makes no sense. It's just a load of waffle. So if you're a layman or you're a casual fan, there's clearly issues going on in Welsh rugby. Abby Tierney, who's involved in that, who was at the DVLA or something before. Don't want to be harsh, but whatever it is, just someone needs to come out and say, this is what it is in black and white, because it's obvious from the outside. Cardiff went into administration. They've been bailed out by the WRU. It looks like, again, from the outside looking in, that you'd probably want to keep Cardiff. You'd want to keep the Ospreys. And that's what it looks like because they've signed up to this RA25 implement 2-tier funding system agreement for the professional clubs, whatever it is. But on the outside, and we've been judgmental of the drags, they don't win any games. They get about 10 people at the games, but then
they won one. They won one this year. Played 18. Probably Zebra. I can't remember.
All right, yeah. Well, we are being harsh now, but you've got Wyn Jones is leaving Leicester to go back to drags, and then you'd be going there being like, well, is there a club here or what? Like, what's going down? So the same as the RFU model to a degree, just come out and give us a very simple few explanations of what it is and what all this termination notice and bloody PRA 25 that people have signed up to, but apparently it's going to happen in 2027. Who knows? Yeah.
Well, I think the WRU are frustrated with Scarlets and the Ospreys because they hadn't signed the professional rugby agreement 25, the PRA 25 by the deadline that they gave them, because they were asking questions around the funding and everything going on. Obviously, they bailed out Cardiff, and obviously Cardiff signed up to it, as did the Dragons, which meant they got increased funding of 6.5 million annually, James, compared to the 4.5 million allocated to the non-signing clubs. So it's a shit show. Make it a level playing field. Do what you got to do, but all get in a room. It's like no one gets in a room and talks together.
I can tell you that. I can tell you that don't happen. It'd be too easy.
Basically, Wales is a mess, and they've still got to pay Gats off. What, Jim, why are you being negative?
I didn't know that either. I've got no idea when it comes to this side of things.
All right, this section has been very negative today, so let's have a bit of positivity to finish with.
Oh, go on then.
The Six Nations fixtures.
Oh, who plays on a Thursday? Who plays on a Thursday?
The opening game of the 2026 Six Nations, James, is France versus Ireland on Thursday night. A Thursday night. And do you know why, Jim?
No.
Well, I will give you the answer. The reason that it's been moved to a Thursday evening is to prevent a clash with the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics, which is being held in France at the same time.
You know what? When I first saw this, I don't mind a Thursday night game. The issue is with this when you chat to people. So if I was to say it completely casually, I'd own a Monday night football or a Thursday night football / rugby or whatever you want to call it at the end, like Friday night lights, however you want to do it. I feel like rugby needs to have its own day. And that's just me with that. So when I saw the Thursday, I thought my first instincts were like, oh, that's cool to do something a little bit different Thursday night, France versus Ireland. But then the argument is when you chat to mates or normal people who are fans, it's like, well, how are they meant to get to fucking Paris on a Thursday night when they got work on Friday?
Well, the Irish will travel in their thousands.
And the type of people that go to these games anyway, they're just going to have the Friday off work, aren't they? Go on the Thursday, long weekend.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yes.
You know, it's 200 odd quid a ticket anyway,
yeah,
isn't
but
it?
This is the thing, Jim's point is it more unattainable for your average rugby fan by doing that.
See, Rob was doing it there. See how it was almost like a backhanded thing. Well, we can't afford it anyway, so all the rich, 200 quid a ticket. So them fucking lawyers and them accountants can afford it. So, but that would be the argument. So my mates would say, because it's not even necessarily about going to the game, Rob. It's about going to the pub on a Thursday night to go and watch it, or whatever your traditions would be. Some people go to the opposite country, don't they? So French fans would go and watch it in Ireland. I know a lot of people do that. Off the back of maybe the flights are cheap. No, they won't be cheaper. No, they're smart. They're savvy. So they'll probably cancel the flights that you've booked and then triple these prices for these one. But anyway.
And the French will be on strike somewhere at an airport, so you can't even fly.
Exactly. So you're in security till midnight. You've missed the game anyway, but it was a hell of experience. But anyway, just to give a little bit of detail on that. So yeah, the Six Nations fixtures have been released. We've mentioned the France-Ireland game on the Thursday, but they've also dropped a fallow week. So there's 3 games in a row. Then there's going to be an off week, and then there's 2 to finish, which I quite like. I'd never understood the kind of fallows in between, and then there's Prem games. Anyway, sorry, go on. I don't want to. I'm saying positive.
It's good. It is like the 3, then 1 week off, then 2 games is good. But James, what are you doing on Valentine's Day?
Probably spooning my wife.
February the 14th, Valentine's Day, 2026. Next February, what are you going to be doing?
Andrew, I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow. But why are you asking?
You said you're going to be spooning your wife. Well, that's when England are coming up to Scotland.
Well,
to defend the Calcutta Cup, James.
Andrew, well, I'll be spooning you then.
There we go, James. There we go. Shall I grow my wig back at the back so it looks like I'm Noel Edmonds again on the boat? Or
Stay lean, Andrew, is all I'm saying. We can't chat about Noel. We'll get another lawyer letter.
Well, the URC quarterfinals have been finalised. Munster have booked their place with a win over Benetton.
Yeah, shootout, wasn't it? Friday night, Peter O'Mahony's last home game. For Munster, even though it wasn't at home, it was at Cork on the 4G pitch, which everyone's moaning about because loads of injuries. What are they doing, moving it to Cork? I know you've got to share it around because of the size of the province and all this stuff, but Jack Crowley went off. He was class before he went off with a groin injury. I wonder if that was down to the 4G pitch. Hopefully he'll be available for the quarterfinals because he'll be massive. And going over to the Sharks is going to be a tough ask for them. But a few injuries on the old 4G. Paolo Adogwu as well. What are you saying, Jim? You love the 4G.
You know my feelings on it. It's one of the underlying, I would say, black clouds in rugby are the 4G pitches. Always said it. Yeah, you can't see it on here. Like people always asking about the podcast, you know, when I do it in the studio sometimes with the lighting and I've got like all these marks on my face, that's from the 4G. So I've got these kind of like weird blemishes on my skin all over my knees and stuff like that. So hey, there's an insurance job coming around somewhere is all I'm saying. If the shit hits the fan.
Are you suing Saracens because you played on their 4G?
I've made the 4G pitches. But I'm not a fan of these at all. We've seen horrendous injuries on them. Manu Tuolangi will tell you he refused to play on them, I think, in the end. And who knows? It's allegedly Jack Crowley goes off with a groin injury, but we see groin injuries on there. Paolo Adogwu as well. But let's stay positive about it because Munster have booked themselves into the quarterfinals. It's been a turbulent season, let's say, for them and Jack Crowley, and the emotion as well of Peter O'Mahony retiring and Conor Murray and all of these things. So Munster are an iconic club, and it's great to see them in the knockout stages. And they travel to Durban to play the Sharks, the Hollywood Bet Sharks.
Your old team as well.
Yeah,
our old team. James.
Our old team. Look at us. We're just connected.
Yes, we are. But yeah, good to see that they win the shootout, don't they? Benetton will be a bit frustrated because and I'm happy to say it, with the squad they've got, they should be in the top 8. The amount of Italy internationals they've got and how good they have been at times. So they'll be frustrated. But fair play to Munster, making it into the quarters after a tough season for various different reasons. But it's a team that Munster's a team that should be in the knockouts, right? Without a shadow of a doubt. They won it a couple of years ago. Lost in a semi last year to Glasgow. And they're back in the quarters. So well done to Munster.
Glasgow had all their lines back as well, but didn't really do them much good, did it? Over in Ireland.
Well, it was
a lot better than it was a lot better than last time, wasn't it?
Better than a couple of weeks ago, yeah.
But yeah, great to see Tuipulotu back, although he did come off early. Scott Cummings as well played, didn't he, Jim? And it wasn't a great game. You know, there wasn't a lot to play for. Leinster were finishing top. Glasgow were always finishing where they were going to finish because the Bulls were going to spank the Dragons. So it was kind of like it was a bit of a damp squib. And yeah, 13-5. Glasgow, I think they'll have to go back there if they win their quarterfinal. They'll have to go back and play Leinster in a semi. So it was good for them to get a feel of the place and get a better scoreline, but that's all she wrote, really.
Yeah, it is. So Leinster play Scarlets in the quarterfinal. Glasgow have got the Stormers at home. So good to see the Scarlets, actually, Andrew. Albeit they lost at the weekend against the Sharks, but it is good to see the resurgence, I suppose, of them because they were shocking. You called them the Scats last year. I'm a big fan of Dwayne Peel.
They've turned it around, haven't they?
They've turned it around. They have, with the little resources that they've got, and there's a heartbeat in that club again. Which again, you talk about like a Munster, like this. You think the Llethley back in the day, the heartbeat of West Wales and rugby in Wales. It is good to see them in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, 100%. And that win last week over the Lions was the key for it, really, because had they not have got that, then it would have been Cardiff in the knockouts. But yeah, shout out to Dwayne Peel and the Scarlets boys. Yeah.
So last couple of games, Andrew, I was going to speed through the Bulls versus Dragons game because it was a foregone conclusion, but there was an emotional tribute to the late Cornel Hendricks as well in that game, who passed away. I don't know whether it was going to be in your good, bad and ugly segment this week, but I just thought I'd reference that as well because of the stuff going around. I'm on a few South African group chats, believe it or not, Andrew.
No,
there was
you're not, James.
I know, but there was some tributes going around about Cornell, and he had a heart condition and stuff like that.
He retired, didn't he? Really sad because he retired in 2016 and then obviously went through loads of testing and got himself better through the heart. And then came out of retirement in 2019. An amazing story, but then unfortunately it's very sad news that he's passed away from suspected heart trouble again. So thoughts with him and his family and his friends and all the Bulls as well. So they did a special tribute to him. So, and they certainly made him proud at the weekend with spanking the Dragons.
Yeah, they did. So a big shout out to that. And
the other one you need to talk. Yeah, Jim. You can't gloss over Edinburgh.
I wasn't going to. I was going to go deep on them. I was going to finish in a high pitch.
Deep joy. Yeah. Spanked Ulster. Ulster have been shocking. But, they have. Stevie Ferris will tell you, I think it's their one of, if not their lowest ever finish in the URC. And I know they're a club in transition and all this stuff, but fair play to Edinburgh. Darcy Graham didn't get picked for the Lions. What do you do? Score a hat-trick.
Yeah. He was going to come on the show, actually, but he's on holiday. So I said, I'll give you a little bit of grace. If you go on a holiday, he'll come on in a couple of weeks, which is cool because everyone in Scotland's talking about Darcy Graham and him not getting picked. And I posted a video and people are annoyed at Mac Hansen. I'm like, Mac Hansen's a world-class player. Like, I think Darcy should have gone as well. Just on this as well, sorry, just to segue slightly, there's whispers if Emmanuel Faye-Boso gets fit that they want him on tour. Just what I'm hearing. I'm hearing.
But how's he going to play? So unless he's fit for Exeter, not this weekend, the weekend after, you can't pick him.
Well, that game that you were talking about last week, where lads are rocking up. Anyway, Darcy Graham.
Game? Yeah. Oh, you think he's going to lads are rocking up in Dublin next?
I don't know. But Darcy Graham was phenomenal. We won't talk about the sin bin for the intercept that he went for. I think he did it on purpose because he didn't want to get the headlines after the game. But he did get the headlines. It was an unbelievable performance by him. But actually, like Edinburgh as a team, really, and they've been up and down this year. I'm loving Ben Muncaster in the back row. He played 6. Jamie Ritchie's off to Perpignan. He got a bit of a send-off when he came on at the weekend.
Is that him done with Scotland, do you reckon, Jamie Ritchie? Or?
No.
Because it's kind of a weird move, isn't it? When you're so integral and he's been skipper and whatever, but to leave Edinburgh to go to Perpignan.
They wanted to keep him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they wanted to keep him.
He's gone for the Euros.
Well, I like that. I love the fact that Scottish lads do that because a lot of them stay and then go and work in finance after. So they just.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, there's
What's
nothing
wrong with
working
in foreign exchange?
There's nothing wrong with doing that. But I like lads who test themselves and go out there and do that. And Jamie Ritchie was brilliant in the Six Nations. He's been great for Edinburgh, and he's a top class player as well. And
but so,
what it does.
But should the SRU not do everything they can to try and keep him at Edinburgh?
Well, this is the whole thing around it, isn't it? Because then if he is in that position and he's getting towards the end of his career, I'm not saying he is now, but in the next 2 or 3 years, you won't get to see the likes of a Ben Muncaster, who played 6 at the weekend, playing week in, week out, or a Luke Crosby coming through. I know he's just re-signed. So it opens up the door for these younger players, because there's only 2 pro teams to come and play. And that's like the Finn Russell effect, isn't it? Where he's at Glasgow, he leaves Glasgow and it opens up for an Adam Hastings or a Ross Thompson, who's now at Edinburgh, and these things. I would love to see the best players playing in Edinburgh and Scotland, but I think you saw at the weekend with Jamie Ritchie being on the bench, Ben Muncaster was brilliant at 6 again, and you saw Magnus Bradbury playing at 8. So by Bill Batter leaving to go to Bristol, you want to see the best players, etc., etc. But Magnus Bradbury comes back and he was on fire at the weekend. So I know we are segueing around some of the selections and contracts and stuff at Edinburgh, but they've been up and down this season. But that was a convincing win. The Hive was buzzing. Get it?
Oh, I see what you've done there.
See what I've done there? Yeah, God.
Yeah.
Is that called a
And
alliteration?
you've just retired
Don't
Jamie
score.
Ritchie from International Rugby, Jim.
No, I haven't. I think he'll
No, you
carry
haven't.
on,
I'm joking.
carry on playing. So, but they've got a few other players leaving as well. Ali Price is leaving. Matt Scott is retiring at the end of the season as well. So, yeah, bit of a change of guard there as well. But
They've got to go to South Africa, though, haven't they? They've got the balls.
that is what I was going to say. So I was breathing and I say, but... Yeah, they've got to go to the Bulls, and we know how hard it is to go there and play. But
The Glasgow boys did it.
there you go. The Western Warriors went over there and did it last year. So why not hashtag always?
Can Edinburgh do it? They're a bit softer than Glasgow. Glasgow boys are tougher, they say. I'm just saying, Sione Tuipulotu told me to say it, so all the best to Edinburgh boys, although his brother got injured, didn't he?
He got
Sione's
injured last
brother.
week, yeah.
Yeah, so he's out for the season, but that's why maybe Sione said that Edinburgh aren't as tough as Glasgow.
Yeah, but no. Big shout out to Dicey Graham. Anyway, we're going to get him on the show in the next couple of weeks, and phenomenal try at the weekend.
Last bit of housekeeping then. Stormers beat Cardiff. Manny Lebock was back. Good to see him back playing
Brilliant.
before he leaves.
Yeah.
Is he off to Japan, is he?
He's off to Japan. They wanted him at Leicester, but he's off to Japan. Actually, I didn't realise Dave Ewers is at the Stormers.
Yeah.
In the middle of all the scraps. Just
Yeah.
missed it. Just missed
Scrappy
it. I know
dappy
he's-
day, boys.
Yeah, he's Zimbabwean. Is that Zimbabwean?
Yeah, he went to Ulster, didn't he? And then he went back to the Stormers. I think it was this season. Good man, Dave Ewers.
A good player as well, so he played really well at the weekend. But yeah, like Manny Lebock just pulling the strings. A couple of red cards in that game as well. Damien Willems's one.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Well, I'm going to get to them in a bit, but what are you doing? Shoulder to the heed. What are you doing, pal?
Well, I'm even trying to justify it because I look
can't.
Africa.
He's banned for the... He's got to be banned for the quarters now. Like, the knock-on effect of that, you're out of the playoffs.
I know. So yeah, a couple of high shots in that, but yeah, comfortable.
I'd say
win.
John Dobson had pulled some of his hair out, but he ain't got any left.
No.
And the Sharks won again as well.
Yeah. Enough said about that, the better. I mean...
Yeah, that was a fucking dreadful
It was
game.
a dreadful game of rugby.
Eben's all right though. I thought Eben was out for the season.
I thought he's gone.
Went down,
How many
but-
games has he played? He's like, I know he's been out a bit injured, but he's played a lot of rugby, and a few of these Saffers are going to struggle to make the next World Cup. I reckon. Don't say that, Jim.
No, but that's it. That's always going to be the balance, isn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, the less said about that game, the better. Although Costello got a lovely drop goal off his wrong foot.
Is that what's it called when you can kick off both feet? Is that ambidextrous?
Ambidextrous, yes.
Is it feet and hands?
What's that? Yeah, I think so.
That I am not. I can tell you now. I was playing rugby in the garden with JJ, and I was doing the old chip and chase. I say the old chip and chase like I used to do it. I've never done it in my life. And Beck says to me, "Are you left-footed?" I was like, "Bet you've been with me 20 years. Did you not know I was left-footed?" She said, "I've never seen you kick a ball." I was like, "I'm left-footed."
She's seen you volley a man in the face, but not a rugby ball.
But that was with the heel, so it's a different mechanism. I did that with my right. Right, Andrew, let's come on to your segment, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hit me!
Yes, a few bits ago. Start with a really weird one, actually. Do you remember Reno Nell? Played for the Cheetahs. Anyway, big shout out to Reno Nell. Played for the Cheetahs, but he's just been crowned as world's strongest man out in California.
Ahead of my Tom Stoltman, has he?
Yes. Yeah, he won at the weekend. So big shout out to Reno now. Crown the world's strongest man. It shows rugby is a great game, and afterwards you can go on and do different things. like podcasting or becoming the strongest bloke in the
very
world.
different disciplines, let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Big shout out as well to Ealing Trailfinders. They won the championship. They can't get promoted, but we thought we'd give them a shout out as well, because that's a hell of an effort.
Sorry, go on. You go.
Shout out to Danny Kerr. Apparently he retired. He's not retired yet.
I would never have known.
No.
Did he retire, did he?
Is he not playing in the last game? It was his big send-off at the Stoop.
Yeah, fair play.
And he's had an amazing career. Harlequin's best ever player, I'd say. Nice touch to let him wear number 9 from the bench as well. So Quinn's greatest ever player. So big shout out to Danny Kerr, getting his last run out at home, although they didn't want to go for the bonus point and keep themselves in the hunt for the top 4. He just kicked it off. But big shout out to Danny Kerr. What else was good? The Sharks, Sale Sharks that is, and Gloucester got wins over Bristol's and Newcastle to keep their playoff hopes alive. What else was good? Let's go over to Super Rugby, Jim. Ardy Surveyor
Yes,
and
sir.
Moana Pacifica. Ardy has been crowned Player of the Year with 2 rounds to go because of the voting system, how it's done there. He can't be caught. So big shout out to Ardy Surveyor. Basically, hardest bloke you've ever played against. The Grunter, unbelievable player, and an inspiration for Moana Pacifica this year. But also the Moana Pacifica, based in Auckland, they beat the Blues of Auckland. So 2 teams in one postcode. And I can't remember what they were saying about whatever the postcodes are, but hell of an effort from Moana Pacifica to beat the Blues.
Such a cool team, though.
Yeah, it is.
It is a cool team. My mate Tom Savage, who was at Gloucester, is there. And
Hold on a minute. I was going to ask you the question. So they do some wicked social media clips of their song afterwards. Uso, Uso, or whatever it is, and they're banging on they're spraying the water on the thing. And
Uso.
I'm looking around, I'm like, that's fucking cool. There's all the Pacific boys and Islanders, and there's one bloke who's white as anything with his top. Is that Tom Savage?
That's Tom Savage. In great shape.
That's wicked. He's in great nick as well.
He's a wicked bloke as well. Brilliant player. And he's done the rounds. And when he left Gloucester, it was a big shout for him to go. And I was like, I'm so glad that you go into experience. He went to Japan and then, he's gone there. And
so that's him in the video, because it just sweeps
him.
round. I didn't watch it again. I need to watch it again now. But there's like one white guy with all the Island boys.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like,
and he's bigger than all of them. Like, he's a big old unit. But big shout out again to Ardy Surveyor, because I did see some clips and I kind of knew when I spoke to him when I went out to Japan last year that he was getting a bit of shit for going to Moana Pacifica, because it was like, you're the great All Black, the captain, they're not good enough. And there you go. And to get player of the season with 2 weeks left is awesome.
Scarlets get a shout on the Goode. They made the top 8, Jim. Didn't get any points from the weekend, but as I said last week, their victory over the Lions put them in the box seat. So shout out to Dwayne Peelback and all the Scarlets. Edinburgh and Darcy Graham didn't get picked for the Lions yet.
He'll be
but he got a hat-trick, and they made it into the top 8 with their victory over Ulster, 47-17. So well done to them. Munster get a shout as well. 30 points to 21 win over Benetton to make the top 8. But the Goode this week is going to go to one team. Now, I've given them some stick, and we had a bit of bad feedback from their ex-coach. But Racing 92 are going to get the Goode this week. They beat Toulouse at Toulouse in the Stade Ernest Vallon, 37-35 to move within 1 point of the playoffs. They've had a bit of a resurgence. Dan Lancaster played at 10. Le Garrett kicked his goals, and they're in with a sniff of the playoffs with 2 games to go. So that's a massive win. Getting a victory in Toulouse when you've been as bad as they have been. I felt it was my duty to talk them up and give Racing the Goode this week.
What's happened with Stade? Are they getting relegated, or are they going to be in that playoff game?
Well, Stade beat Lyon at the weekend by a point. And so they are just outside of where they're sat in 12th. So at the minute, Perpignan are 13th. It's pretty close. Fan are down in 14th. So Stade Francais may end up in that playoff game, but they got a victory at the weekend, Jim, to pull them away from that slightly. The bad, a few bits of bad to go through. We're going to start off with, of course, the Dragons. They took 55 points at the Bulls. Absolutely shocking season. Played 18, won 1, and they finished 20 league points behind Zebra in 15th. That is an absolute
Dean Ryan's
shambles.
fault, though.
Why are you blaming Dean Ryan? He's not there anymore.
That was the whole thing, though, wasn't it? It was,
yeah. Where's Dean? What else was bad? The Welsh pantomime carries on. WRU serving a 2-year notice on the current professional rugby agreement, also known as PRA 25. Scarlets and Ospreys haven't even signed it. Sounds like they're going to have 3 teams. We chatted about it earlier, so that gets mentioned in the bad. The RFU get mentioned in the bad as well for cutting the men's sevens, even though there's reasons for it. We need more transparency. Show us the money. Tell us where it's going. Stop spending it on the expenses for the RFU board members and council members to go travelling. Spend it on the lads. Bring back the sevens team. Ulster get mentioned in the bad this week. Their poor season ended taking 7 tries and 47 points at Edinburgh to finish 14th. I think it's their lowest ever league position in the URC. Biarritz get a shout in the bad as well this week, Jim. Relegated to Fédéral 1 from Pro D2 for financial irregularities.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah, I know there's a bit of drama going on.
Yeah, and not being able to show their the fact that they can be sustainable and balance the books and all that stuff. So they finished mid-table in Pro D2, but the French league or whatever it is, LNR, have just said, "Nah, see you later, lads. You're getting relegated to Fédéral 1." So very sad for Biarritz, who have had some success in the Champions Cup and in the top 14 as well. But we're not going to have a bad this week, so we're going to have a sad instead, and it's the tragic death of Cornel Hendricks, who passed away last week at the age of 37 with suspected heart issues. He previously made a remarkable comeback to professional rugby in 2019 after retiring in 2016 with heart issues itself. So all our thoughts go with his family, his friends and the Bulls. Very sad news. A wonderful player, a player that's put a lot of smiles on people's faces over his time, and really sad bit of news to come out last week.
Yeah.
And then the ugly, couple of bits of ugly, and they both came from the same game. Firstly, the upright high shot by Danny Southworth, the prop, who flew into a tackle upright into the head of Neethling Fauchier of the Stormers. But the ugly this week, we spoke about it earlier, it's only going to one bloke, and that's Damon Willemse, just lobbing the shoulder into the head of Cardiff's Gabriel Hamer-Webb. Ridiculous from Willemse. He's going to get banned for the playoffs, which is a big shock and a big loss for the Stormers. So that's why Damon Willemse wins the ugly this week.
A couple of shout-outs before we finish, lads, but actually, are you just going to shout out yourselves first?
Yeah, we'll shout ourselves. Why not? And it's nothing to do with desperate pleas or getting back on the tools, but we're desperate and I'm back on the tools, just so you know. But look, we do a lot of shout outs for the local rugby clubs. Andrew does his thing, I do my thing, we do our joint thing, we do our collective thing with the Rugby Pod, but we thought it'd be a great forum before we do the shout outs, Andrew, that if people want to book us together, which happens, or some people like you and don't like me or love me and hate you, they can book us individually.
Who hates me? Who hates me? Come
Saracens.
after me.
Yeah, Saracens.
Let's be out, just Saracens. I ain't doing anything.
I'm joking. They don't. You're one of the ex-players.
Thank you, James. But anyway, on that point, if you've got any end of season awards or any gigs that you want myself, a centenary, myself and Jim, one of us to come down, end of season, sportsman's dinner, whatever it is, get in touch with the Rugby Pod at therugbypod.com. Send us the details and we will be down at your club speaking if the money is right, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, sir. Right, let's get into it. Massive shout out to the Infantry Training Centre in Catterick. I lived in Catterick for a bit, and they've just completed their first ever Australian overseas rugby tour. In particular, shout out to team manager, captain Alfie Blackhall, and coach Sergeant Q for their efforts on tour, and especially Colonel Mustard Nathan Pierpoint, who facilitated activities in Oz.
I wonder what activities they got up to in Australia.
I can tell it involves kangaroos and pouches.
There we go. What sort of pouches do you know about,
Just the
James?
flappy ones.
Yeah, and also a shout out to hooker Murray Davidson from Bishop Stortford for being signed for Coventry after taking part in their NFL-style Combine Day. So well done, Murray Davidson. See you in mighty Sky Blue Army. Cov.
That's awesome. Lost to Sunderland, Andrew. What a game that was, by the way.
I was watching it.
Yeah.
I was devoed.
Frankie Lampard. Injury time header. Alabin header.
Last kick of the game, pretty much.
Look at Robbie's just there nodding and smiling because he no longer supports the Red Bull Newcastle Falcons. He's going all in on football. Yeah. Hello, boy. Right, got a really sad one now to finish on, and it's the 2 firefighters who lost their lives in the line of duty last week. They were both members of the Bicester Rugby Club. So we're sending all our condolences to the club and, of course, the families and friends of everyone at the Rugby Club at this terrible time. Absolute heroes in the line of fire. Such a sad story to end the show with, and we're sending our thoughts to everyone out there.
Thanks, lads.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, James.
Thank you, lads. Hell of a week lined up, eh? Northampton, we are coming for you. Cardiff, Andrew's coming for you. Is all I'm saying.
2 nights there. 2 nights there.
Yeah.
Looking forward to a big week.
Yeah, looking forward to a big week. But a big thank you to everyone, as always. We can't do this without you. And we really value our listeners, Andrew, don't we?
We do. So make sure you followed all our social media channels, but mainly make sure you subscribed on Spotify.
Rugby Spot.
Spotapod, pod.